All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Culture Calls Dialing into the Future, where we discuss everything on culture. Today, we are in conversation with Jeanne Sheehy. With more than 20 years of marketing and communications experience, Jeanne is a recognized expert in integrated marketing communications, global marketing, social media, mobile, and website strategy. Jeanne has spent more than a decade in enterprise-wide content management technology industry and in the manufacturing and consuming industry packaging prior to that. She currently works as the Chief Marketing Officer for Bostrom Solutions, where she delivers marketing strategies focusing on growth, value, content, and digital presence tied to goals and metrics. And absolute delight to have you, Jeannie, on our show. How are you feeling today?
Oh, great to be here and love this topic of culture. Truly love to discuss it.
That's fantastic. I think we can, before we even move into, a few of the questions, can you tell us the audience a bit about yourself and about your current role and what exactly you're doing in Boston?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Chief Marketing Officer at Bostrom, and Bostrom is an association management company. We manage about 30 different nonprofit associations, and they're national and global. They are trade associations and professional societies, and they span across many different industries. So we don't have a niche like in healthcare or building and construction. They run the gamut of everything from biometrics to Dona International, which is a group of doulas, to speech, language, and hearing therapists. So we really play in a lot of different areas. So we run trade associations and we also do outsourcing and consulting for these nonprofits. And I've been doing this about 20 years at Bostrom. And my background is in marketing and technology, which has lent itself very well, having that technology background and being a marketer to what we do. We constantly have to innovate and bring new ideas to the table and different uses of technology, and the marketing side of that is just the whole member experience, customer experience, and understanding how to make our associations grow.
That is fantastic. And from what exactly you told, I can see that you have a lot of experience in working in so many industries and working with so many different kind of cultures and different industries. I just want to double down on that topic. So, in this work environment that is offset from the pandemic, how do you see work culture evolving, especially in this hybrid work space, which is looking to stay at this moment? So, how do you see work culture evolving in this environment?
Yeah, it was interesting for us. We have an office in Chicago where we're based, and then we have another office in Washington, D.C., and we already had remote workers. And this was before the pandemic hit everyone. And we had done a lot of work. We started about 5 years ago building a culture roadmap. And for our company, the culture is how we differentiate ourselves. We built a culture around this safe to fail environment, having psychological safety within your workplace. And, it's not easy to do in today's hybrid work environment, but with technology, with things like Zoom, but with the formality of building a culture roadmap behind it, you really thoughtfully put things forth for employees to feel included, that they understand where you're going as a company, and that they have the tools to connect with their teams in the appropriate ways in order to reach the goals that you need to reach. So, I think it was coming along before the pandemic already, but this is really kind of turbocharged what we needed to do from a culture standpoint to really get there from a technology standpoint and making sure everyone feels connected.
Right, right. That is one of the things that I've seen as a lot in companies nowadays, where the technology is playing a very important part in building the culture that is required for the company. And when everything is moving to a digital workspace, it is necessary that the right technology is there to build culture.
Hmm.
There's this thing I remember from Gary Vee. He always tells that company culture is the backbone of every organization. So how true is this? I know this is a very direct question, but how true is this? When it comes to your organization, Boston, how is company culture the backbone of your organization?
Yeah, I mean, I would absolutely agree with that statement. Our culture is how we differentiated Bostrom in the market. So we trademarked about 8, 9 years ago Agile Association Management. And Agile, came from a theory of software development, where instead of taking a project from beginning to end and getting feedback after a product is out, it's an iterative process. And so we thought, well, for associations, an agile approach to teamwork is ideal because you've got to get input from members, from their customers and prospects, and from people that are taking education and getting certified. You have to be nimble and you have to listen and you have to adjust along the way. So we built a culture around that as well. We not only approached association management with an agile thought, but we thought, our culture has to be very agile. We have to listen. We have to work well in teams wherever they are, whether they're in Chicago, DC, or around the world. And so our culture roadmap kind of built that. And we wanted to be fun. We wanted people to want to work with us. We wanted to have this open mindset and a growth mindset. So what we were doing was very focused on growth, but open to new ideas, to changing things midstream, to changing campaigns as we see the data come in. And that's what worked for us. And because we had that culture and that positioning in the market, we've been really successful, and we were able to actually grow during the pandemic, which was amazing. And I don't think we could have done it without the culture that we had worked so hard to build.
Right, right. And this is, that is fantastic to hear. And I think you're also seeing that a lot of companies have actually grown because of their culture during this pandemic, and primarily because, there probably wasn't a lot of steps that were taken prior to it, or there wasn't a lot of notice that was given to it. And, the pandemic, as you said, literally just triggered everything, and everyone wanted to build that culture so that, they can scale
Yeah.
in a world which is entirely digitally present. I just want to, top down on the one of the things that you told earlier, which is how data and technology, help integrate the culture that you're trying to build. So does data and technology play, key role? Does it truly play? Because there's a lot of things, people say that, technology is an important part, but does it really help build culture? So there's a lot of questions that are, floating around the actual use of technology. So, according to you, do you really think that data and technology, help build organizational culture, and are they important?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think without the tools that we have today, I don't think we could have been as adaptable, and been able to protect our culture as tightly as we have been. The effects of the pandemic would have been very different without the technologies that we put in place. Things like Slack, like
Mm.
Zoom, Microsoft Teams. Um, these are things that kind of connect us every day, whether, and Monday.com, tools like that, that really allowed our teams to, look at campaigns and how they're performing and work together as a team and look at dashboards together, and collaborate. Our Google Drive is, we use it all the time, and I just think of course we were using those before, but I think they just became even more stronger when more people left the office environment, and we did go truly virtual and now hybrid. So I think technology plays a big part, but it's not the end all be all. I mean, I think you have to really think about the people experience behind technology and what you're trying to achieve. And so just because you put Slack in place, that doesn't necessarily mean your employees are going to use it and connect. You want to bring them there, right? You want to build the team channels and the fun channel and the diversity and culture channel, and you want to post things and put committees together that are really going to use the technologies in the way that you want them to connect everybody. So I think it's people, process, in terms of technology. You really have to think about that human experience. And, for that, technology has been great. It allowed us to stay connected. It allowed us to hold tight to a culture we were working hard to build. And on the business side of things, it did make it easier as well. But as I talk about that culture of psychological safety and safe to fail and things like that, you really have to build a mindset within your culture to be open to technology, to be open to lifelong learning, because these things are changing. The technologies that we use today, I don't know how many of these we're going to be using next year or in 2 years. And, the things we're doing with websites are changing so fast. And so that culture, that being open to learning and new technologies and just looking at things that are coming and trying to adapt as they come, that's a big part of culture. And I think it's what makes companies stronger in a crazy technology world that we live in. So I think they interconnect a lot.
Right, right, and I absolutely agree. I think the people and the leadership should evolve as and when technology is evolving, and if you're not adapting, you're just staying behind. Uh,
Yeah.
so I think that's an important thing. There's this one question that we ask all of our guests on the show, which is, what exactly does it take to become an employer of choice of the people? What does it take for a company to build and become an employer of the choice of the people? So what are your thoughts on
I do think this comes back to just that authenticity that comes with a culture that is really thought through. Like, the people talk about organic cultures and how cultures just create themselves. And I think you have to be very purposeful. You have to say, this is who we are as a company. This is who we want to be. This is how we want to grow. And this is the type of environment we're going to need to get there. And if you love working with associations, you love working in an environment that is fast paced and that is open and inclusive and thought provoking and learning all of the time, and fun. I mean, we're with each other so much. It's you really want to put that authenticity forward. And I think if you can define what your culture is and really live and breathe it and protect it, I think that's what makes it a great place to work. That if you don't want to portray something that you're not. You don't want to be corporate and structured and formal if that's not truly who you are. Really let the personalities of your company show, and that supports the culture that you have and that you want to have.
that? Right. That is such a beautiful answer. Thank you so much, Jeannie, for joining us. Are there any final thoughts you want to leave our audience with?
No, just thank you for having me on this. I truly believe culture is just like the heartbeat of the company, and so I was very excited to come on and talk about this.
Right. Thank you so much, Jeannie. Thank you so much for joining us. And hey, thank you everyone for listening until the end. And if you have any thoughts, make sure you leave it in the comments, and make sure you like this video and this audio as well. And we will see you again, and make sure you subscribe, and see you next time.